been staring at you all night.
The film really is like a fairy tale reversed. So the guy that she's on the date with is the damsel in distress. He just doesn't really know it, and she's the one who kind of gets to save him at the end of the day.
It's like a roller coaster. It's this very gradual ascent up the ramp, and then once you get to the top, you hit that drop.
What do you say we get our table?
Yeah, okay.
You start to read something, and then you stop, and you start, and you stop. I started reading the script, and I just blew through it and said, there's something here. This is really special.
I would describe the film as being sort of a classic thriller, which is part of what I loved so much about it the first time I read the script. It takes place in one room the whole time. It sort of happens in real time.
I hadn't read anything like it before. It's like a very Agatha Christie type thing. Rear Window, I think, is a great uncle to this movie.
What was interesting was that it felt, in a strange way, a bit like a bookend for me, because I wrote a film called Disturbia. Cut! It was sort of like Hitchcock by way of John Hughes. This felt like the evolution of that kind of a film. It straddles sort of Hitchcock, but it's also very much like a 90s thriller, but it's using very modern technology. There's something about the idea of being tormented and harassed by an unseen person on your phone, whether it's on social media or it could be an ex, and this is just sort of the fully realized ultimate nightmare version of that. There is an unseen person in the restaurant who is sort of the puppet master. And so she's trying to figure out who it is while trying to maintain this facade.
Can we start over?
Is it the bartender? Is it the hostess? Is it the waiter? Could it be Henry? We wanted to make sure that we kept all of our red herrings alive. So I tried to make sure that every actor, no matter how big or small their role, had some kind of a moment where they behaved or looked in a way that would cast suspicion on them.
They're really highlighting each of these characters in this ensemble in a way where it's making the audience realize that there's no real insignificant characters. And they're also damn good at it as well. It's so rich. Each character and each actor's made very strong choices, which is gonna mislead the audience and make them wonder, who's doing this?
I think as the audience, you like the idea of saying, oh, I know who it is, it's that person. To set up those people, we've done some nice little lighting transitions. It's as if we're sort of in Violet's headspace.
You are telling a story from this one person's perspective, and so you have, I think, a certain kind of creative license to do things that I think you wouldn't traditionally do. And so one thing that we did do when we were designing our shots, we specifically designed those shots to always have a very specific place for the text, to ultimately create a conversation and a character with a person we can't see.
As the film shifts dramatically, our style, of course, changed.
We shot the movie with very sort of traditional coverage. We start moving into angles and images that are off kilter. A lot of Dutch angles and things moving in ways that feel slightly unnatural, playing with different lenses. It's like her whole world breaks from its axis. There's two villains in the movie. There's Richard and there's the masked guy in their house. And Richard is meant to sort of represent the kind of psychological torment that Violet has had to deal with in her past. And then the masked guy is the physical. He's all brute force. I wanted the stakes to feel real and that the violence felt as visceral as it could. I didn't want to make one of those movies where Violet suddenly is like a black belt.
This is the first time I've ever done stunts of any kind, so I was really excited.
You missed!
The final sequence, in this case, it's a lot of wire work. The first rig, Richard, basically we have to be able to suck him out the window parallel with the floor of the stage and then drop him and then hold him, suspend him in air.
You missed!
The VFX plates will take care of him falling all the way down. And then we did shots of a dummy falling, crashing into a sign at the bottom of the building. Then we also have Violet's rig. As she's sliding along the floor, she basically flies out the window, but manages to catch on to a tablecloth and is hanging out the window 37 stories up.
3, 2, 1.
I always love doing things I've never done before and learning new stuff. I was actually really intimidated the first time. I was learning how to do the kitchen stab. I get thrown across 2 tables. I get picked up and then thrown again.
We put the cast on a wire rig, so we were able to basically have the masked man pick up the cast and pull her out of frame fast. And at the same time, we also continued that shot with the double sliding across the table and smashing on the other side, so it looked like it was actually the cast member. So it was a very clever camera move.
Brendan is a pro. I always knew that our actors were in the best hands. It took an enormous amount of work and clever thinking to pull off some of the stuff that we were shooting. She's incredibly vulnerable and honest, but then also arrives at a place of immense strength.
Mommy! It's about a person who's trying to survive a situation that feels pretty inescapable. I think it's really cool to see this woman who has survived an abusive marriage. I also think she's kind of badass. Beyonce. My ideal first date, maybe a walk.
Look at us.
Doing stuff. A little wine.
All right, be right back.
Pretty much anything other than having to kill the person I'm on the date with. Hey! Beyond that, I'm pretty easygoing. Just definitely no murder. I would suggest going to Palate on a first date for sure.
Welcome to Palate. Do you have a reservation with us tonight?
One of the most interesting aspects of making this movie was designing and building a restaurant. Susie Cullen, our production designer, is a genius. She created this behemoth that was so ginormous. It was elevated 30 feet off the ground. There's that sort of element of being in this very upscale high-rise. And it was such a great experience for the actors because they really felt like they were in a restaurant.
I can't believe we're actually doing this.
Yeah.
My first reaction when I saw the set was, holy shit. They did a phenomenal job.
It's so beautiful. I think everyone was sort of in awe of it. I couldn't believe how big it was, too. It feels pretty real.
I could not believe that they built that set from scratch. It is insane. And the bar's fully stocked. Obviously no alcohol, but it's actually so on point.
I've sent a video to some friends of the set, and every single one thought it was a real restaurant. They even thought the skyline was real. What a view, huh?
Ooh, that is high.
With regard to Palate feeling like a real restaurant, with every project that we do, we start with a lot of research. Everybody is really interested in doing the highest level of quality product that we can achieve to create a world that could sustain this story.
Production design thematically embraced the concept of the movie, that Violet is trapped. If you look around, you'll notice there are a lot of gold bars to sort of create this idea of a gilded cage.
The tunnel, which is another small, dark space, is kind of trying to build up her nervousness that when she arrives into the restaurant, it opens up and then it's like, oh, this could be kind of nice.
They just absolutely did such an incredible job with it. I mean, every detail is beautiful and the lighting is really cool because it's lit in the way that we shoot. It's all in practical lighting.
Practicals on the set are doing a huge amount of work to keep that pressure constantly building. You want to create little moods for different areas, that there's a little bit of variety, and for us, you want to know that everywhere the camera points there is something interesting, so it just can't fall off into darkness.
The attention to detail is insane. All of these things on the ceiling are held by like individual little clips every 10 inches or so, and there's hundreds of them.
The production design, that's really helped us keep the energy flowing, where we can do shots where we can take somebody from one end of the restaurant on a steady camera or a crane, hinge around, swing around into a close-up, and Susie's realised where things are going to happen or where things don't happen, and she's incorporated a lot of things we've needed.
On top of it all, there was a gear tunnel that ran underneath the set that Susie designed so that we could get a crane from one side of the stage to the other. Just a lot of thought that went into it.
The set feels very operational, and I do think that that helps in a big way. You just really feel like you're in it.
Are we ready to order?
Yeah, I think so.
What we ultimately have is a fully functioning restaurant. We had a real chef.
We have a unique situation where it's a full restaurant. It is made up of a mix of model-made food and real food. When an actor eats a meal, we make that meal.
It's a fully functioning restaurant with like genuinely very good food. Some of the best food I've had in months.
Duck salad for the lady.
Thank you.
And the Kobe fillet for the gentleman.
Brandon, he loves steak, and he was talking about the steak all day.
Oh my God. I'm not joking. One of the best steaks I've had was on this set. Perfectly charred. There's a little red wine sauce on it. So tender. I mean, you could just you cut it with a spoon.
Love it.
Great. Be right back.
It was a lot of spinning plates. Everything had to happen at a very specific time in a very specific way. So like table 4 was on appetizers. Table 10 was on mains, that was always happening in the background. In many ways, they were operating a restaurant. And I was so impressed every day with how smooth all that stuff went.
So, how's the day going?
It's good.
Sure about that? You seem kind of on edge.
Well, Violet and Henry, they've been FaceTiming for a few months, but this is ultimately their first encounter.
The relationship that develops between Violet and Henry is actually really sweet, which I think makes it even harder for the audience to imagine that she might have to kill this guy that is perfect for her.
Everything okay?
Meghann's doing this two-hander the entire film, and I can't imagine anyone else being capable of doing what she does in this film.
Violet is kind and genuine, and that's also just a testament to Meghann, because Meghann's just such a beautiful person, and so kind, so talented.
I'm like the worst date ever.
No, you're great.
She's an actor that can be both incredibly vulnerable, but also really likable and confident.
Malbec.
Oh my God.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
And this movie demands an enormous amount of range from an actor.
I got a thing with heights, so I think I'm trying to center myself a little.
I mean, it was probably just our second day of shooting where I had that aha moment. Like, I knew she was good. I knew she was capable, but I had that moment where I was like, oh, she's gonna fucking destroy this. She's amazing.
Come on, show me!
It's almost like a play, the film, so you really need someone who feels very present, and Brandon's very genuine.
I think most of us, if we were on a date with a man or a woman who was just constantly checking their phone and going to the bathroom and seemingly super distracted, they'd be like, I think I'm gonna take off. It's very much just I really like this woman, and I'm here for it, and I'm gonna be really patient because I have compassion for what she's going through.
Do you mind if I leave my phone on the table? It's the first time he's been without me in a while.
Totally fine.
Thanks.
There's a beauty in the simplicity of he's just kind, and you don't really see that a lot. I got this for Toby. Hope that's not weird that I did that.
No, it's actually really sweet. He's gonna love it.
Brandon is a great actor and has an enormous range. He felt like the perfect guy for this role, and he's fantastic in it. He's incredibly charming and funny and likable.
Oh, that's cute.
Mm-hmm.
You're rooting for both of them, and that's what I really wanted for the audience. I wanted them to feel invested in both of them and their relationship.
Meghann and Brandon have a great chemistry together. So much of the movie is just set at their table.
I mean, you are the first guy who didn't ask for a Pete fix, so I just figured.
That's usually an in-person request.
Brandon's amazing. So lucky that I got to do this movie with him.
If something's wrong, I want to help.
He's very thoughtful about adding little tiny moments in that make Henry feel like a real person.
There's a sort of buoyancy to a lot of moments and a humor that's coming out. I mean, as an actor, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, Sean never killed anybody, right?
It isn't helpful or healthy for a movie when actors sort of get siloed and kind of stay in their corners. And so it was great that they spent so much time together and they had a genuine respect and adoration for each other. And I think that shines in the movie.
Beyonce.
Goddamn bitch! 3, 2, 1.